Welcome to the age of agents. So let's talk about what's going to happen in 2026 with agents. With ChatGPT and Anthropic and Grok and Gemini, there's been a lot of fear that the robots are going to take over, or that digital marketing is dead, or that all the VAs won't have any work. And a lot of that, I think, will be true by the end of the year. But here's what we need to be thinking about in terms of our operations, our marketing, our agencies, our team members, and how we adapt to it. So Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI, him and Elon Musk, he wrote an article a few years ago on Medium called The UBI of Everything. And he said that as agents are able to do more and more of the work, they start to approximate what human labor is, and therefore they should be taxed. Just like if they're doing the work, then why shouldn't they be taxed according to the output, according to the number of, instead of hours that they work, according to the number of tokens that they burn. And it certainly makes sense that if work is being done by these agents, then they should be taxed just like companies are taxed. Companies are not real, but companies have social security numbers and EINs. Companies can buy and sell property. Companies can enter into contracts. So why can't agents start to do that? And the reason why this is going to happen in 2026 is that we've got persistent agents. So instead of just like a program on your computer, like a spreadsheet program or Gmail, you have a persistent entity. And an entity is a person, place, object, thing with an identity that interfaces with other entities. Just like you as a person are an entity. You might be in Grokopedia, you might have a Google business profile as a company. You as a person, your team members, your products, the city that you serve, those are all entities. So as these chatbots, which have been software, are actually able to take autonomous action, they become more entity-like. And this means that, I'm not saying they're like Optimus robots, but as they start to do things for us and start to make decisions, then they become entity-like. And that means that in order for us to get work done, we have to start to allocate not just capital and labor, which has traditionally been the Marxian approach, but you have this secondary category of labor, which is autonomous labor, which is paid for in tokens, and tokens will be taxed. I'm pretty sure that as we move to universal basic income, or Elon Musk calls it universal high income, we're going to be paying tax. And I think the big billion-dollar companies are the ones who are going to be paying the tax first. And that's the article the big essay that Sam Altman wrote. So what does this mean? If our work is shifting towards these agents, and it's happening this year already, then how do we adapt? How do we think about this? In our AI Apprentice program, we're training up a bunch of these young adults who are working for their parents. And they understand how to use the tools. There's never been a gap with technology, but they're learning now how to manage and how to direct and how to be able to collaborate between different team members. So the ability to move from being a worker, like a VA who just edits videos, or who just runs ads, who just builds websites, or just does the task. When you start to level up as a manager and you are telling, hey, you over here, you go to do this, and you come back, then we're going to do this. And the output here, I want you to go talk to this guy, and then that guy, and you actually name them, Jennifer and Christopher and Evan and Ethan and these other people. When you, and you should learn how to do this too, is able to manage these different agents, which you should be doing right now. We're doing most of this using the Claude Max 20x plan. We were using OpenAI, but because of the way the tokens work and the amount of compute power that's available, Claude is the best bet right now. Then I spend most of my time directing other agents. So I might be out here just to get them working, and then I know I can check in on them in a couple hours and see, have they gotten the work done? So I'm moving towards, and you should be too, towards productivity, towards the output. So I don't care about how many hours someone charges for the work. I don't care about how many tokens necessarily, although that's a robot gauge of how much work was being done, but you could burn tokens, so it doesn't really mean anything. But if everything's moving towards us being managers and we are directing the agents, then how do we structure our time? How do we think about what this means for us and our team members? How many humans do we actually need involved? How do we transition over into agents? How do we switch over into different models? For example, I think that OpenAI is basically dead. And not just because of the current financial issue, but because they're constrained by electricity and by the ability to compute and all of these things. So if we know we need to switch models to Gemini and then Grok at the end of the year, next year, which is where everything's going, how do we adjust? Here's what you do. Think about what is the thing that you do in your business, your service-based business. Do you have that repeatable thing documented as an SOP? If so, then who is involved at different steps of that SOP? Are there different people that are tasked together in a linked chain? Are there different components that can be done by agents that can be called? Basically anything that can be done through a laptop or a Zoom call or a phone call can be done now by agents pretty much. If you can figure out what that chain is to repeatably get that result, the underlying client will pay whatever they've been paying all along, independent of how many hours or tokens or whatever it takes to get the job done, because your clients are paying for the job being done. If you're a digital marketer, I don't care if you spent 20 hours in Google Ads or you spent 10 minutes. I want to know whether the ads are converting. I want to know whether it's working, right? So if we're shifting towards a performance model, we have the SOP. We've documented that. Zoom calls or whatever, we run to the agent. They document all of that because the agents can document that for us. We then have agents train up these other agents, supervised by humans who have actually done the thing. Now all of a sudden we are organizing our people based, they're managers of their own micro business. This is what I love seeing among these young adults that have started these businesses, because technically it's maybe them and a couple other humans, some of their buddies that they bring in, but they're managing teams of people and getting that work done. And initially, maybe they charge a couple $1,000s for whatever it is that they do, like process a podcast and set up a YouTube and a website and a landing page and run ads, whatever it might be. But if they can get it done 10 times faster and just as good or better, then shouldn't most of that benefit accrue to them as the worker, right? So we know that our clients want the result. So think about, what does this mean in terms of, what are you going to do in terms of shifting how the work is being done? Because now that you have agents that are doing the work, I never thought this would happen this soon. I didn't think it would happen this year, but your token budget might actually be higher than your human labor budget, spending more money on tokens and processing. And you might need fewer humans than you have today, just like you saw the founder of Twitter cut 40% of his workforce just yesterday. From 10,000 employees, they went down to 6,000. They cut 4,000 people because of the very thing that they see happening. They're cutting those people in advance of what we see right now. So you can see all these tourists. They're excited by the bright lights. They have no idea what's coming. I'm not a gloom and doomer. I'm not saying like AI is going to take over the world, but if you're not able to move up to the manager level instead of being a worker, if you're not understanding token budgets and the cost of these tokens, for example, Opus 4.6 on Claude is $5 per million tokens input, $25 per million tokens output. That adds up quick. Then you're not really figuring out what it costs to get work done. So now you have costs of software, costs of tokens, costs of people, costs of ads, all these other things. Think about those raw materials in the delivery of your service. I think you'll find that you're going to get way more efficiency off of having agents, not just because agents don't give you the same kind of excuses that humans do about getting sick or their grandmas and whatever ill or their computer broke or the Wi-Fi wasn't good, but you're dealing with a whole new class of labor. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. All of those are doing the same thing. These are your workers. And if you're confused about what to do, because there's so many people on YouTube and wherever that are just giving advice, we've got a program where hands-on, we are working together with all you guys and we're sharing what's working for us. Odds are, if you're a service-based business, if trust and credibility are important to you, you might want to see how we're doing things. We publish everything and how we do stuff for free. And we put it out there on YouTube, as you can see, and Facebook. But if you want to meet and spend time with our team and the other members, you should come check out our AI Apprentice program. I hope it gave you some clarity and how to think about AI agents, because bookmark this video. In a year from now, you're going to be glad that you took steps now to create these agents to do your work versus the wait and see approach and hoping that you can catch up later. Because if you're in the world of digital, if you're doing marketing, if you're doing things that are mainly behind a computer or stuff that's driven by a tool, I'm telling you, these agents are learning how to use the tools. The scary thought of these robots that are actually using the tools. Now we got to direct these robots. And I would love to see you step up to the manager level so you can manage a team of them. Maybe it's your young son or daughter being able to do that on your behalf for your business. Anyway, let me know. What do you think?